Welcome back. Now, you heard me read the story a moment or two ago. Basic Education Minister Angie Motshekga will this evening release the 2015 National Senior Certificate Examination results. Well, this period also brings with it a lot of anxiety and some disappointment for several of the over 800,000 grade 12 candidates who will be receiving their marks. Well, to talk to us a little bit more about the psychological anxiety that some grade 12 learners may go through and what we can do to assist them, we're joined now in studio by Liane Lurie. She's a clinical psychologist from South African Depression and Anxiety Group. It's such a pleasure to have you with us this morning. Thank you so much. I think if we can help one or two parents and empower them, we would have done a great deal of service to our youngsters. But let's start there. It is such an emotional roller coaster for these grade 12 learners. I'd imagine a myriad of feelings straight from when they were writing their exams and the build-up of tension. Then there's the festive season and now these results. It's a difficult time, is it not?
I think it's an exceptionally difficult time. I think we need to have a huge amount of empathy for them. You know, this is the culmination of their schooling, and they're waiting to see whether they've actually passed. And I think that very often in the media, we see that there's an absolute celebration of the learners that have done exceptionally well. But I think we tend to forget about those that have actually tried their utmost best, but may not have made it or may not have received the grades that they were expecting. And I think it's about dealing with the emotions that come with that. And I think providing them with the utmost support, as opposed to putting them in a space where they actually feel like they've been shamed or they are worthless, or their entire life and identity is based on a set of numbers.
How can we help them through this difficult period?
I think, it's about sitting down with the individual. I think it's about commending them for how far they have come. I think it's about reminding them that they've tried in the past, that one set of results does not define who they are. And I think it's about having some sort of plan. I think that your 12 or so years of schooling have provided you with structure and safety. And now you're released into the world, and that can feel incredibly scary. It's the factor of the unknown. And I think that if they have some sort of idea of how the year is going to pan out, so are they going to go and do some kind of job shadowing? Are they going to get some kind of work experience? For many, they may want to actually try and rewrite some of their subjects to give them a better opportunity in terms of entering some sort of tertiary education system. And how can you, as a family, as a support system, provide them with the necessary coping mechanisms in order to realize what some of those dreams and goals may actually be, without necessarily telling them how bad they are, because they may not have done as well as you expected, yes.
Yeah. Is it worth also validating their disappointment, to say, I know you're disappointed? Because sometimes we're quick to brush over and say, no, it's not the end of the world, get over it, let's move on, without actually saying, I know what you're feeling, it's okay to feel that way, but how do we move on from there? Sometimes people think they just don't understand me. How do you then sit down and say, I'm validating the way you're feeling, you're okay in feeling that way, but how do we then jump over this great divide?
Absolutely. I think, Ayanda, you make an incredibly important point. I think that they need to feel that there are people that actually understand what they're going through, as opposed to, them saying, which adolescents typically do, nobody understands me, nobody understands what I'm going through. So give them the space, but also help build that bridge so that they can hold the feelings but walk towards something a little bit more positive, that they can actually start to look forward. I think also for them to know that the South African Depression and Anxiety Support Group also has an available helpline, for them to call should there be any other issues, should they start to feel, desperate and hopeless during this time.
That's where I want to go to next, because how do we differentiate between the usual emotionally volatile state of a teenager going through adolescence and some disappointment and, they'll get over it, they're just, going through a stage, and when it is a serious cause for concern, where we say, now we think we need intervention from the likes of yourself, from a more experienced party, because this depression is abnormal. Perhaps it's a chemical imbalance. Perhaps there are socioeconomic factors that are contributing to this. How do we differentiate between just a normal teenager and someone who is in desperate need of intervention?
Essentially, your teenager. You know what we call sort of their baseline level of functioning. And if you start to notice major or even minor changes in their behavior, are they sleeping more? Are they sleeping less? Has their appetite changed? Are they more sort of irritable or aggressive than you ordinarily know them? Are they starting to talk about things that they ordinarily wouldn't, such as, well, the world would be a better place without me? Has there been an increase in their anxiety? Are they are they hiding things from you? Look, those may be the telltale signs that the individual may be incredibly depressed. We also have to look at, were there other factors, exactly as you said, during the year that contributed towards their state of mind? Have there been other traumas? Is there a family history of depression and anxiety? And how has your adolescent coped with a crisis in the past? And does this appear different? Or is it the same? And how can then you intervene? And I think as a parent, don't be afraid to have those crucial conversations with your teen. Don't be afraid to ask the questions if you're worried.
Liane, very quickly, can you give us contact details so that we can give you a call on?
So the South African Depression and Anxiety Support Group can be reached on their Destiny helpline. I think it's 0800 414243. And there's an SMS helpline that they can reach on 3129.
Okay, there we go. 0800 414243 or SMS 3129.
And the helpline will phone them back.
Thank you so much for that. And I think what is very, very important is that as a parent, I think it's better to overreact than to not react and say, oh, shoulda, coulda, woulda. So rather take the action, even if it's just something that's small, then at least you've done something, then regret later. But thank you so much, Liane Lurie, for joining us for that. And of course, we're wishing the class of 2015, their parents and all those around them, all the best for the announcement later on today. And the results are being released tomorrow. Quick ad break. Stay with us.